All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone. It's been a while. I am back from Colombia. Good to be back. I didn't do a live chat on Sunday because it was Super
Good
Bowl.
to be back.
We got some feedback here. So yeah, I'm back. Welcome to my weekly live Q&A. I usually do these on Sundays, but as I said, this is on a Tuesday. I have a day off today, so perfect day to do it. Also, yeah, I haven't done one of these during the week, so it's always usually reacting to whatever happened over the weekend on Saturday. Usually, this time is a little different because I guess it's more looking ahead since we're deeper into the week. We're not on Sundays, so yeah, looking forward to that. That's going to be a little different. It's been a while. Thank you guys for tuning in. For those who are joining live, for those who are viewing post, thank you as well. Just a friendly reminder to give this video a thumbs up, tell your friends about it, spread the word about this live chat, and yeah, subscribe to the channel. Set reminders as well, obviously, so you know when I'm going live. All right, with that out of the way, let's kick this thing off. I've asked you guys to submit some questions via Twitter. I got those pulled up right here, and I'm going to tackle those first. And then afterwards, I'll take things to the live chat here. Let me pop it and put it on a separate window here, and I'll address that afterwards. So if you didn't get to throw anything on Twitter, which is okay, I forgive you. You can do so in the live chat at any point in time, and then I'll take care of that. So I'm popping that out right now. Let me see if we do this. It's been a minute. All right, there we go. Putting it right here. Perfect. All right, cool. So I'm gonna tackle Twitter first. I had some good questions actually. These are good, so we can get things rolling right away, and also so it helps me put in the headline what we're gonna talk about today. So I appreciate the people that submitted via Twitter. So let's get this thing cracking. The first question on Twitter came by Terrence Leverett. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm going to have to get these right. Yes. Do you agree that Usman/Masvidal makes sense? Reason being, if Masvidal wins, it would entice Conor McGregor because he has the 170 strap. First of all, I'm all for that fight. I think there's a few different ways that you can go about structuring and matchmaking things at 170 pounds, and believe it or not, it's starting to blend in with 155. I think that's a bigger reason why there should be an 165-pound weight class. Just naturally it's happening, and I'll explain why. But basically what you do at 170 at this point in time in this specific situation will have ramifications on what happens at 155, and here's why. It really all comes down because there's a major player dabbling between two weight classes, and that is Conor McGregor. And if there were more players, it'd get even trickier. But 100%, Usman obviously needs a challenger, right? Needs somebody to defend the belt against. I believe the number one contender there is Masvidal. Not only, I think he checks all the boxes. Not only is he a big star, and he will make the fight big as well, and he can carry a pay-per-view. I mean, he carried a pay-per-view without a belt against Nate Diaz just a few months ago. So this being for the real strap, it'd be a big fight. On top of that, I mean, if you get the fastest knockout in, UFC history, you put away Darren Till, put away Nate Diaz, you got 3 wins in a row. You have the resume to fight for the belt. So 100% that is the fight to make. And one of the reasons also outside of both Masvidal and Usman why I think this is the fight to make is because it keeps Conor away from the 170-pound strap, as Terrence here said. People already talk about Conor McGregor title shots, whether it's at 170, 155. I think you keep Conor McGregor away from any belt for a bit. Yes, he's back. Yes, he said all the right things. Yes, he looked good against Cowboy, all that. But one, it was a very short fight. Also, it was just one fight. He talks about 2020 being a season. All right, well, let's see it. Fight someone else. For me, I think he should fight Nate Diaz next. There's no implications. He's not going to skip anyone over at any weight class as far as title shots go. And it'd still be a big fight. It'd be another fight where we could see where he's at. I mean, Nate Diaz is a legit fighter. And, it just pumps more wind to his sails. So that's the fight to make. And then for me, I think obviously we got Tony versus champ Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's a big fight. A lot of people underestimate Tony Ferguson, which is ridiculous to me. And I think Gaethje should take on the winner. I know Ramadan is coming up, right? I think it's from April to, let me see. This year's from April to May. So it starts April 23rd to May 23rd. So we know Khabib doesn't build any training camps around that time. And he's fighting Ferguson when exactly? Let's see. He's fighting Ferguson here in Brooklyn. So I'll be there for that card. So that should be exciting. What date exactly is that? Right. So yeah, so that's in April. Yeah, that's right outside of it. So he's not gonna fight for another few months. Keep in mind, he's gonna go through Ramadan, and then he needs some time to like let his body build back, because basically, it's a very strict fasting. So could just that'd be the only problem. I think there's no scenario where you can not screw someone, or I guess you can give Conor McGregor to Justin Gaethje, and then I guess that'll be okay. But to be honest, I think Gaethje's done enough, and he deserves a title shot. So, in my opinion, Gaethje should sit out. And I know sitting out is not the best thing in the world, but look, that's a guy that's also has picked up a lot of damage throughout his career. So maybe sitting out wouldn't be the worst idea, and just focus on skill and getting healthy. And look, you're not sitting out for a fight. You're sitting out for the fight, for the belt, right? So it is a pretty big moment. And we know sometimes fighters have the resume and that title shot never comes because either they're not big draws or styles are boring. Sometimes simply time doesn't align. I mean, look at Tony Ferguson. Dude's been undefeated for a long time. And until this day, he's yet to fight for the real belt. So a lot of things can get in the way. So look, I don't think it's the worst idea to sit out. Again, it's not the best. It's not the perfect idea. But if you consider the alternatives, I don't think it's the worst. So that's how I think things should play out in my mind. And then we got a piece of the puzzle in there with it looks like Usman versus Masvidal is in the works for International Fight Week. So that's good news. But obviously there's still a lot of moving pieces. Who knows if even McGregor gets the next shot at lightweight? It wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, that's that. All right, let's see what else is on Twitter. Thank you, Terrence, for submitting that question. Very good question. All right, Blake asked this question. I really like this question. I've been asked this question a couple of times, but yeah, it always comes up, and I think it's always a good reminder and always good to throw it out there and discuss that, especially as the industry changes, because it does. So Blake on Twitter asks, what would you tell someone that is thinking about pursuing MMA media full time? So that's a tricky one. For me, I guess it depends, I guess, where you're at in your life. I mean, if you still have the opportunity to go to school for, broadcast media, journalism, digital media, anything in the communications field, you're going to be getting a great deal of information and tools that could help you, find success in MMA media and just media in general, right? Because I mean, that's what you're going to school for, right? So number one, I would say that if you want to get into this, you need to have a passion for media. Before I like knew I wanted to do this like full time, I was always into media. Like before I wanted to do, I was a film major. I didn't, never really got down to it, but that's what I wanted to do. And I had taken some film classes in like high school and stuff. And I did an MMA documentary and stuff like that. It just so happened to be that I was also a huge MMA fan. And then journalism's like right there, right? So over time, after doing certain things and certain things took me a certain direction, I knew that's what I wanted to do full time. So if that's something you want to do, go for it. Here's some things about working in media. One, it's a very small industry. It's gotten bigger. Obviously, a lot of players in the past year have gotten involved, which is good. There's been a lot more job opportunities for everybody out here. I mean, we've seen it, right? A lot of, including myself, right? I went to MMA Junkie. A lot of people have been going other places as well. Just opportunities have been opening up. So it is a good time. A few years ago, it was very, the jobs were full and that was that. I mean, there was only so many positions available. I think that's growing now, especially with the landscape. So it is a good opportunity to go in it now. But, guarantee you will be working a lot of weekends. So make sure you're prepared for that. I think a lot of people think that, working in MMA media, I'm just sitting on my couch, drinking beer, having snacks, and tweeting about it, and that's my job. No, most of the time I'm not even actually watching the fight solely. Like, I'm doing a million things and watching the fight on the corner of my eye. I have here an extra monitor, and stuff like that. And then, I'm working till late at night, early in the morning, because you got to stick around for the press conference, and then you got to work after that. So, keep that in mind. You work a lot of weekends. And you just work a lot in general. But again, this is, I think, for most people, this is what we enjoy doing. This is our passion, so we don't mind it. But yeah, just a heads up. And as far as advice, so this question, okay, I'm going a bit on a rant here, but this question was, what would you tell someone that is thinking about pursuing an MMA media? Well, number one, make sure this is what you want to do. Number one, make sure you're into media, you're into communications, you're into journalism. Two, know it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to find a job. This isn't, a huge industry, but it's growing. So that's good news. Three, make know you'll be working a lot of weekends, so be okay with that. And yeah, and I guess some advice would be start small and start. That's the most important thing. I think people stay, and this is just in general, people just stay stuck in the planning phase and, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And they're waiting for the perfect opportunity to do it. That's bullshit. There's never a perfect opportunity. You're always going to have some distraction, something going on in your life, or things won't align. I think the best thing is just to get started. And look, at the very beginning, whatever you do, unless you're, amazing, and but for the most part, whatever you do is going to be trash. I mean, my early work was trash. That's why it's sitting on private in YouTube right now. But you got to get started somehow, right? So start local, look into local promotions around where you live. Go to those, ask if you can get credentialed. They will always, for the most part, approve you because they're looking for, coverage. And then start covering that and sharpen your teeth and see how it is to talk to fighters, how it is to talk to people, stuff like that. So that'd be my advice. If you have further specific questions, I'm always down to help people that are looking to, make something out of themselves and possibly not, get into MMA media and stuff. So you can always email me at Danny Segura TV, Danny Segura TV at Gmail. I'm thinking Twitter at gmail.com. So you can always email me and I'll get back to you guys in a good amount of time for the most part. But yeah, thank you, Blake, for asking that question. All right. Monkey B Monkeys on Twitter asks, do you think it's disrespectful that Dana's talking about Conor Khabib when Khabib hasn't even fought Tony yet? Also, what do you think is next after Tony beats championship? So that's definitely a possibility. And do I think it's disrespectful? No, I think if it comes from fans, maybe, I guess it can be taken as disrespectful, but I think it's also just promoter talk, to be honest. Like, at the end of the day, the possibility of Jon Jones, what am I talking about? The possibility of Khabib Nurmagomedov defeating Tony Ferguson, although I give Tony Ferguson a good chance, and I think he has the best chance out of everyone at lightweight, I think it's still pretty big. I think if I were to bet, and people, if I had to bet, I think Khabib still holds his title after that fight. Am I 100% sure on it? No, but again, if I had to make a pick, that's how I would go with things. So you're just setting up the next fight. So let's say if Khabib does win, you've already been setting the narrative. You've already been previewing people into this big fight, how it's going to be so big, how it's going to be so great, how Conor wants this so bad. And look how good Khabib looked against Tony Ferguson. Oh my God, this is going to be a great fight. So I think it's just promoter talk. But I do think it's a little silly because it's not a given. Like, I think Tony Ferguson could have very well beat Khabib Nurmagomedov. He has the tools that, first of all, Khabib has never fought someone like Tony, for starters. Second of all, his ground game is so good. Go back and watch his fight against Kevin Lee. The thing with Kevin Lee is if he gets you to the ground, he's going to beat your ass, right? Now, he's had some trouble, right, against Quinta and who else? RDA, right? And a few others of getting the fight to the ground, or he gasses out in the process of getting the fight to the ground. But when he's on top, he's good. Like, he's a good grappler. And he was able to achieve that against Ferguson. He was on top. But that didn't matter. I mean, if anything, things got worse for him. So Ferguson is a nightmare on bottom. Being on top of Ferguson is not good, which is crazy. Because it defies all logic. But the dude is able to create a lot of space and throw elbows in there. He's also very good at avoiding damage and ground and pound from the bottom, which is interesting. He's also just tough as shit anyway. So if you do land something on him, most likely he'll be fine. And on top of that, he's got great jiu-jitsu skills and very sneaky stuff. He's got very long arms. I mean, he's a problem on bottom. So, and if the stays striking, I mean, I think Ferguson has a huge edge there. I mean, Khabib has done a lot of improvement, but Ferguson is, again, a nightmare on the feet. So I'm curious. The question is, will Khabib get Tony Ferguson to the ground? Yes, 100%. How will the fight play out there? I'm curious to see if Khabib is good enough and that good, because he is that good, to be able to control and neutralize Tony Ferguson. So very interesting stuff. That fight I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be amazing, and a huge challenge to Khabib. We talk about pound for pound fighters. I think if he beats Tony Ferguson, I think that counts like as 3 or 4 wins right there, because he's going to be answering so many questions. So that's going to be a big one for his legacy, for sure. All right, Monkey B. Monkey, same dude asks if oh wait, the second part of the question. Also, what do you think is next after Tony beats Khabib? If Tony beats Khabib, fuck it, do Gaethje. I mean, that'd be an amazing fight, right? That'd be probably the most violent fight ever on paper. Yeah. Either way, that belt's got to be defended, and Gaethje is the rightful contender, the rightful title challenger. So that's the way it should go. So, anyways, next question by Monkey B. Monkeys ask: if DC beats Stipe, does DC versus Jones fight come back into play at heavyweight? That is a very interesting question, and one that's also like very difficult to answer. Also, I just came back from Colombia, so got myself some solid coffee, mugged by Red Rocket Station. If you know, you know. I'll just leave it as that. This is the good shit. Anyways, yeah, that is an interesting question. I think it all depends how he beats him, because DC's talked about retirement, but if he goes out there and looks like he turned back the clock and just looks like a really young, even in his last bout, where he lost to Stipe, I thought that was one of his best performances. But if he looks like a really, really good, and he looks like he turned back the clock, gets a decisive win, that for sure proves he is the better heavyweight. No controversy, no illegal stuff. The fight's not even close. Maybe. We'll also have to see how Jon Jones looks this weekend against Dominick Reyes, which we can talk about in a little bit. And then see what's up then. Also, we have to see what's been going on, in the heavyweight and light heavyweight division, because let's say Ngannou beats Rosenstruck or vice versa, and either just makes a huge statement, I don't know, maybe they have a claim, right? And maybe there's some buzz there. You don't know the way MMA fields are gonna be going at that time. So I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's very likely, though. I think that fight is gone, and I think it kind of felt like it was gone once Cormier lost his belt to Stipe. I think we got a pretty good feeling, like, okay, yeah, it's gone. At least that's how I felt. Yeah, it just felt like all the buzz died down. But again, you never know how the winds are gonna turn. So maybe, but I would say unlikely. Also, DC has made it pretty clear that he's in it for one more fight, and I think that's the case. I mean, he already passed his deadline that he wanted to retire in. So yeah, I think I don't think that goes down, but you never know. Maybe. Kale Sauce asks on Twitter: realistically, who do you see for Justin Gaethje next? With Conor either waiting for Khabib/Tony or a third fight with Diaz, it wouldn't make sense for Gaethje to sit out for a title shot after Conor when that's not even guaranteed. Yeah. So again, back what I was saying earlier in the stream, like, I don't know, it's a tough one. Again, sitting out works if you know you're getting the next shot. I mean, look at Stipe. He sat out for a year, stuck to his guns, ended up getting a shot against Cormier again. There was so many other factors involved, right? Ngannou was making a quick name for himself, like Ngannou 2.0. I mean, he already had a name, but after the Derek Lewis fiasco, all of a sudden he was just knocking fools out left and right. And so that was Ngannou 2.0 was in the mix. Also, Brock Lesnar was in the mix, and the dude still stuck to his guns, and it ended up paying off. I think one of the bigger factors were that Brock Lesnar actually decided on, opted out and coming back to MMA. I think if he would have decided to jump back in, I think that would have been a different story. But nonetheless, he got the shot, right? You can say the same thing about Tyron Woodley years ago before he fought for the belt against Robbie Lawler. He set out for a while, ended up getting the shot. So again, with Conor McGregor in play, it is difficult, but in an ideal world, I think he should be next for the shot. He deserves it. So I don't think sitting out is a bad idea. Now, you're not guaranteed that shot because Conor is in there. So maybe you take another fight, maybe you don't. But look, I think a Conor Gaethje fight, I think makes sense, and I think it'd be a good fight. Mostly for Gaethje. I mean, you never know. Conor is also a very skilled competitor, but I don't know. Maybe I'm doubting Conor a little bit, but yeah, it's a tough one. I told you what I think should happen, but again, that's not what will happen probably. So Gaethje will probably have to get another fight, and if he's gonna have to fight someone else, hopefully that'd be Conor, because that'd be the best thing. I mean, that could potentially be even better than a title shot, to be honest. But that would be the best thing, second to a title shot. So yeah, a big fight. All right, so that does it for Twitter. I believe we only had like five, 6 questions. I appreciate everybody who sent the tweets. Thank you so much. Always makes this easier because I can just get straight into it. So at this point in time, I am going to address what it is the live chat here. So I'm gonna pull up the window here. 1 second. All right, there we go. All right. So this is your time. If you wanna ask something, do it now, and I will get to it. So again, chronological order, first come, first serve. So let's do that. Coco Butt, he's back, or she, I don't know. Either way. Will Jon Jones fight Stipe in 2020? That's keeping in mind, let's say if Stipe does win, right, and still has his belt. I would say no. I don't know. There's all this talk. If you notice, there's all this talk about Jon Jones has changed a little bit. I was just watching yesterday the interview that Jones did with Ariel Helwani in Jackson Wink. And yeah, the Stipe talks have gotten up, and also the move to heavyweight for some time, and not that long ago. The only people talking about Jon Jones moving up to heavyweight was really media and the fans. The coaches said they wanted him to stick around light heavyweight and clean up the division, and that was his best division. Jones also kind of said the same thing. But now interest is kind of changing. Obviously, it'd be a big fight, but I think the bigger fight would be against Adesanya. I think that'd be a bigger fight. I think it's most likely that Jon Jones fights Adesanya in 2020 than he fights Stipe. I don't discard the idea of Jon Jones moving up to heavyweight and challenging for the belt there, but I just think a fight with Adesanya is probably more likely. One that they would both want. I mean, Stipe, I'm sure he would want Jon Jones as well, but I don't know. I mean, if you look at Stipe, and I'm just pointing out straight facts. Like, the dude doesn't like to do a whole lot of media. He doesn't like to, be in the headlines and create headlines and stir the pot and talk shit and cut a promo. He's just not interested in that. He's just interested in fighting, which is okay. But I'm saying, if Jones is trying to make the most money possible, he needs a dance partner. And I'm not talking about just in the octagon, but someone that can, spar with him at the press conference, in interviews, on Twitter, and that's Adesanya. So I don't know if you could possibly fit a super fight with Adesanya and a super fight with Stipe within the same calendar year and also be defending your light heavyweight belt. So I would say no. Will Jon Jones fight Stipe in 2020, Coco Butt? No, I would say maybe 2021. But this year, I don't see it happening. You never know, though, right? All right. Alec Carter, didn't Danny Castillo hold Tony down? This is referring to Tony Ferguson. Me saying Tony Ferguson is almost impossible to hold on. Yeah, and he won a split decision. I got his record pulled up, but that was an old Tony, man. Tony has evolved a lot since. I mean, that was a Tony of 2014, so it's been 6 years since. Yeah, some dudes have been able to. I mean, some dudes had Michael Johnson beat Tony Ferguson. I don't think people remember that in 2012. But the Tony Ferguson that we've seen as of late is tough to hold down. But again, Khabib's a really tough guy that's good at holding people down. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But what I do know is there is enough doubt for me to potentially think that the belt can change hands. So, yeah, I'm interested in that fight. Very much so, yeah. Also, I'm interested I'm curious to see. That's going to be in Brooklyn. I can't wait. I hope I can get to interview Tony. I think I never had a chance. I've met Khabib before, but yeah, I just love his weird shit and his weird lines, and yeah, I think that'd be a fun interview. All right, let's see. Hulk Zorro asks, what color is your BJJ belt? So I'm a blue belt, but I got that in like 2013, like a long time ago, 7 years ago. Shit. Yeah, it took me like to get my blue belt. It took me like a year of training, and I had a little bit of a wrestling background from high school. Maybe, yeah, about a year. I think that's what most people do it. I guess depends on your school, but and also like what other skill set you came with, you stepped on the mat with. I think it roughly takes about people, I would say, from like 8 months to a year about to get your blue belt. Some people a little more. It also depends how consistent you are with your training, how much progress you're having, right? But yeah, I got it a long time ago, and then I've wanted to get my purple belt, but you know, then I started college and I started working. Then I moved to New York, and New York is so hard to train, and my training got more sporadic, and yeah. But you know, I have a lot of years, and I've learned a lot of stuff since I got my blue belt. So I always tell people I'm either a really good blue belt or like a really shitty purple belt. That's about my level. I'd like to say I'm a really good blue belt. I'd rather be at the lower tier, but at the top of it. So yeah, maybe that'd be I don't know, my resolution. I started grappling again because I also had a surgery. I had a bunch of like injuries as well. But yeah, hopefully this year I get more consistent with my grappling. I'm also boxing, so splitting the time I get to do athletics with that. So I don't know how likely that would be, but definitely getting back into jiu-jitsu in 2020, possibly competing. I don't know, but definitely something I want to do. I want to get more into it. And surprisingly, like the few times I've gone grapple since, you know, like the recent times, like don't get me wrong, I still feel a little rusty, but it's not bad. Like I just feel like if I stick with it like a month or two, like I'll be back in like full force, probably, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. But yeah, yeah, I'm a BJJ blue belt. Scott Kelly, any news on Darren Till next fight, or is he injured? Cheers, Dan. So I think he recently came out saying that he's for sure not fighting at UFC London, right? And he was scheduled to fight. Was he trying to fight somebody? Oh no, Jared Cannonier was trying to pick a fight with him because Jared Cannonier was scheduled to fight Robert Whittaker, right? But Whittaker pulled out due to injury, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So it's definitely not going to be against Israel Adesanya because I know there was some rumblings about that. Adesanya is definitely fighting Yoel Romero. That's a fact. Jared Cannonier, I mean, that could be a fight for him. But if you're asking if I have any concrete info on what's next, no. The only thing I have is speculation. I have no idea. He's definitely not fighting at UFC London. The Jared Cannonier fight makes sense. Also, see what happens between Brunson and Shevchenko. The winner of that could be fun too. Let me pull out the middleweight rankings. I ideally wanted that fight, Brunson versus oh no, never mind. I did want Brunson versus Shevchenko. I think you should fight Uriah Hall, but I think Uriah Hall, let me see, has a fight. Let me see. And that'd be a fun fight, right? Uriah Hall versus Darren Till. Yeah, so Hall is scheduled to fight Jacare, who's returning to middleweight. He's gonna fight him at UFC 249 in Brooklyn. So I'll be that's a good card, man. I'm excited. Khabib versus Tony, amazing. Like, isn't the universe so sick? Like, I've been hyping this fight up, and for years I've been talking about Ferguson versus Nurmagomedov. I mean, a lot of people have too. I'm not the only one, so I'm not like here bragging, but I've been such a huge fan of this fight, and it's finally happened, and it's going to happen in Brooklyn, where I currently live. So, and I'm going to get to cover it. So, can't wait. It's going to be exciting. But this card's sick. Just a little tangent here. Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas. It's going to be a good fight. Cyril Gane is fighting Shamil Abdurakhimov. Gane is a good prospect. Uriah Hall, Jacare is a good fight. I just wish Uriah Hall wasn't fighting a grappler. I think he's most fun when he fights strikers. That's why the Darren Till fight was the more exciting one for me. But nonetheless, it's still a good fight. Ben Rothwell versus Gian Villante. Gian Villante moving up to heavyweight. I never thought he was like a super lean light heavyweight, so I don't know. We'll see how he looks at heavyweight. Maybe he looks better. I don't know. And Sujara Eubanks versus Sarah Moraes. Yeah, a few good fights. And probably more will get announced, I think. Isn't Stevens versus Calvin Kattar on that fight? I don't know. Maybe on that card. But anyways, yeah, I don't know what's next for Till, but I think, I don't know. There's a few good fights there for him. I mean, a lot of guys are booked as well. But again, I really like the Uriah Hall fight. A Derek Brunson fight would be good. Shevchenko would be good as well. Let's see. You do a Brad Tavares fight. I mean, that'd be fun. Would that be crazy to throw Anderson Silva out there? Anderson Silva versus Darren Till. I feel like that would very much be along the lines of Adesanya versus. No, I think Adesanya is probably a little bit more polished. Like Darren Till's a little more dangerous as far as like knockouts and stuff. I don't know, but there are options, but a lot of them are booked. Let's see what else. Scott Kelly again, hogging up the chat here. Huh? Do you think Conor is going to squeeze a Nate trilogy in June pay-per-view? I hope. Dude, I think, and honestly, like, I know I'm like, if you were from Conor's team, you'd probably be like, oh, fuck this guy. Like, he's hating. But I'm really not. Like, when I say, like, keep him away from belts, and don't get me wrong, like, he's a skilled fighter and, you know, one of the best. And I think, you know, he should be talked about fighting for titles. But dude, fighting is a lot of it is rhythms, like getting into it. Like, I was just talking to Alberto El Rio, who fought Tito Ortiz, and his case is obviously a lot more different. He was like on a 14-year layoff, and I'll be writing a story about that. But just to give you a little preview, he's like, dude, like if I were to fight again, because he's definitely not thinking about like fighting again. I think that was a one and done. But he definitely, like, when I asked him about like potentially getting another fight, he was like, you know, I know it would be better this time around. Like, fighting, like, ring rust is real. Like just getting into the groove of things. Like, there's a rhythm to it, and it takes time to get that rhythm. So Conor had a real rough patch, a loss against Khabib, a loss against Mayweather, a long layoff, a lot of troubles outside of the octagon as well, right? Like legal issues. I'm not going to go into those, but you guys know what they are. And then all of a sudden, like, for example, look at Jon Jones, right? Look at Jon Jones. His case, again, is a little bit different, but look at this. The Jon Jones storyline that we're getting today and the feel around his fights is so much more different now that he beat Anthony Smith. He beat Thiago Santos, and he showed up all those fight weeks and showed up, got the W without controversy. No, you know, test, I guess, you know, no issues as far as his testing goes. A bunch of things, right? And all of a sudden, you know, he's got a nice momentum going. McGregor's on the right track, right? But you got to keep building onto that. And then I don't think taking on a Khabib right away is gonna. I mean, don't worry, don't get me wrong. He could win, but like it's tough. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough ask against Nate Diaz. He's beat him before. He's proved that he can beat him. He's proved that he can have success against Nate Diaz. So why not run it back? It's an exciting fight, exciting build-up, a big fight. It'll get you another win that actually means something at 170, since Nate Diaz has been fighting at 70 for a little bit. It's not like you're bringing somebody from 155 like they did with Cowboy. And maybe then you have a little bit more of I'm not saying you have the best resume, but you have a better resume to ask for a title shot than you do just off one win. So get 2 wins, going for you. Get through fight weeks without any controversy. Get the people behind you, and then fight for the belt. So I think that should be next, the Nate Diaz trilogy, and in the June pay-per-view. Sure, sounds like a good timing. And also Nate Diaz has like a bunch of cuts that he needs to heal up from. That takes time. So June sounds about right. Right, because he fought in November, right? Yeah. All right. Real quick, Scott Kelly again. Dan Hardy hinting at a March-April fight at either 155, 170. Bet you he fights Pettis. What'd you think, pal? Yeah, I mean, there was shout out to Dan Hardy and his YouTube channel, and the Raptors as well. They do cool shit. I've got to meet them. I met them where did I meet them? I've worked alongside with them at events for a couple of times now, but never really had a conversation. I recently talked to one of them. I forgot their name. My bad. At UFC 244, right? That's when Masvidal fought Nate Diaz. Cool people, and they do cool stuff in their YouTube channel. And they had this like behind the scenes stuff at the UFC PI, and then Hardy kind of crossed paths with Paul Felder. And then Paul Felder says something like, "Oh yeah, like Pettis is down to fight you." Like, I think he might have said something like he wants to fight out his contract or something, but he's looking for big fights. Dan Hardy, has a name in the sport, so that looks like that'd be it. And Dan Hardy has also talked about in the past about competing again at 155, because if you look at him now, he's slimmed down a lot since the days that he was fighting GSP and all those guys. He was like much more just bulkier dude. He seems much more fast, much more agile in this frame. So again, another guy that can float around 170 and 155 and probably have success. I'm all down for that fight. Pettis is a bit on a downfall, right? He recently lost to Diego Ferreira. But Dan Hardy also hasn't fought in a really long time, so it would kind of make sense as far as it's a good fight for Pettis. It's a good fight for Dan Hardy. I'm all in. Yeah. Ken Yang asks, is this going to be on Apple Podcasts? All right, so good question, and the answer to that is no. But I'll address something about that, and I'll take this question to address some things. I will be doing some changes. Like, you guys can't see this because obviously like the camera's pointing at me, but behind the camera, the webcam, I've actually like did a little rig, upgraded some stuff, got a streaming computer, so a different computer. So I'm actually using another computer that I usually wasn't using to do these, and I want to invest some money into this and put a little bit more effort to get a little bit of a better product out there. Like I said, I really enjoy doing these, and one of my goals for 2020 is to not only keep doing this, but keep doing it and doing it better. So so give me some time. It's going to take some time, right? A lot of trial and error. Also, I'm a busy dude as well. And also, I got to figure some things out as well, but just hang in there, stay patient. I'll be having something on Apple Podcasts, on all the podcasting services out there. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna put a time frame to it because I don't want to. There's some things in place, but just know that I'm working on it, and in the near future, this experience will improve by getting you the audio. Because look, I listen to podcasts all the time on the train, everywhere. And also just visually, I think I can. There's another gear I can hit. There's another step I can hit here. So that'd be my goal. Also, I always apologize for the noise out there because I live in a very busy street, and just Brooklyn is just a loud neighborhood in general, especially where I'm at right now. specific neighborhood. But for some reason, this mic doesn't pick it up. So, and I always say the same thing, but because it distracts me. But anyways, yeah, hopefully the audio is good for you guys. But yeah, it's not an Apple podcast yet, but expect improvements in the near future. So this is a work in progress. So yes, and thank you for asking, meaning you're enjoying these. So yeah, we'll have something up eventually. JP asked, does Costa's immediate title shot upon return depend on Adesanya beating Romero, or does he fight Adesanya regardless of the outcome? No, I think Costa just wants a title shot. Like, don't get me wrong, he's got beef with Adesanya, and it's a fun beef, like one that I really enjoy following along. I think it's got the perfect level of cringe, but at the same time seriousness, and I don't know, it's fun. Yeah, I think if Romero wins and he's the champ, like at least from a fan perspective and a media perspective, like it's so easy to promote a second fight between Costa and Romero. First of all, these two giant dudes, that alone is catches a lot of people's attention. And on top of that, like the fight was amazing. That was one of the best fights of the year, Costa Romero. And also it was controversial. Like I legit thought Romero won, but again, it was so close that I wasn't heated about Costa getting the W because he also did a lot to deserve a win. So it's one of those that it's exciting. So you want to see it again. They have, unsettled business there because, it was a little controversial. And yeah, and then, again, it's just a fun fight, right? Like that's just what people want to watch, fun fights. And you can build a hell of a promo from that. So yeah, if Romero wins, I think Costa gets, the title shot anyways. And then you can do some fun stuff with Adesanya, whereas Darren Till matchups, right? Other things at 185. And then if he wants to explore 205, then without a belt, that's also interesting as well. But yeah, that's a big if. Romero has a tough task ahead of him. We all talk about how Adesanya has a tough task ahead of him with Romero, but not many people are talking about it the other way. Like that is a tough fight for Romero. Like, don't get me wrong, Romero has fought some tough dudes, and he's no stranger to tough fights. But he's been around the game for a long time, and he's literally fighting the how do I put this? One of the best fighters of the new generation. I mean, he's the champion, one of the most elite fighters of the new generation. So that's a tough test for Romero. And if Romero does manage to beat him, I think that just speaks volumes about his skill set and his ability to win fights. Like, you're beating the new generation, and not only that, but one of the very best of the new generation. And I understand that Adesanya is not 21. He's older. He's closer to 30. But MMA years are differently. He is part of the new generation as far as MMA is concerned. So yeah, I think Costa does get the shot regardless, to answer your question, JP. Scott Kelly again. Who you got? Wilder versus Fury 2. That's a good one. I'm not as knowledgeable in boxing as I am in MMA, but I have been following all the bigger fights at heavyweight, right, and some of the lower weight classes as well. This is one that I am familiar with, and obviously I saw the first one. That is a tough one. I mean, I think I would pick Wilder, but I wouldn't count out Fury. I just think Wilder's getting better, and I think the power's always there. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Fury's obviously probably making some improvements as well, but I think the person who has the higher ceiling, the more who's able to improve the most is Wilder. So, I think Fury's just gonna verse just as the same level of toughness, the same level of power, but just a little bit more skilled and experienced fighter in Wilder. So I'll pick Wilder. Yeah. I think he beats everyone at heavyweight, to be honest. But if there's someone to do it, it'd be Fury. Lincoln Microphone LLC asks, what up, Danny? What's good, bro? Alec Carrier, why does it take people like us so long to have our facial hair to come in? LOL. I'm 21 and can't grow on the sides or neck. Homie, all right, for those people that can't grow facial hair, hang tight in there. Because look, I couldn't grow facial hair for a long time. And then the first thing that started growing was like this, the goatee. But I'm not a huge fan of like the full goatee. I like the mustache. And then I had already moved to New York. I believe I was like 23 or 24. And then prior to that, I had made an attempt to grow a mustache in a trip I took to Tennessee. Like, I'm like, I'm with my family. I'm no social gatherings. So, no one's going to see me, so I can look like shit, whatever. And then I try to grow it, and I thought it looked decent then, but I look at pictures now and it's just bad. It's bad. Embarrassing. I thank God I didn't go to any parties or anything like that with that thing. But anyway, so kept a clean shaved look for a while, then moved to New York, gave it another shot. And this time the thing with growing, and look, this, like, I barely grew any here. And like recently it started to come out where I can actually rock it and it looks kind of decent. And this was just literally like 6 months ago, and I'm 27. Just turned 27. So there's hope. My technique is shave, let it grow out, not a whole lot, but let it grow out enough, and then shave it again. It does need I think, I'm not a scientist, but I think the science here is, like, from my experience, is like the longer the hair grows, the thicker it gets at the base. So even if it's shitty, like, once you shave it again, because you let it grow out a little bit, like the pores or like the hair follicles or whatever you want to call it, like, it expands, I feel like. Again, this is just me making this stuff up. I haven't researched it, but that's what I think it happens, because it's worked. I did it with this, and now I'm doing it with this. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'll shave this eventually, and then I'll wait like another few months and then grow it out again, and it's just gonna come back even better. So that's the technique. So look, you're only 21, Alec. Hang in there. And again, whenever you have an opportunity to be away from the public eye a little bit and have some shitty facial hair on your face, take it, because it'll pay off later on. So just grow it out a little bit, then shave it again, and then just go through that process again. But let it grow out. Anyways, Nasty Paul Whitaker pulled out to help his daughter. What? To help his daughter. Oh, I wasn't aware. I figured it was injury, but I think that might have happened while I was in Colombia, so I wasn't paying too close to the attentions. I wasn't paying close attention to the headlines, but hopefully everything's all right with his daughter. Big old Sean O'Malley return date. No clue, but you know who I'd like to see Sean O'Malley fight? And there was a fight that was originally booked a while ago. That is Mr. Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera was supposed to fight Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy Rivera pulled out, so he has no opponent. Actually, I should hit him up and talk to him and pick his brain to see where he's at right now, because that was a fight he really wanted. And he deserves a big fight. Again, Sean O'Malley is not ranking wise, he's not like a huge. He's not up there, but he's still a skilled fighter and a big name. So that could be a good fight for both Marlon and O'Malley. Also, both of them have pretty slick jiu-jitsu. Like, they're skinny and very sneaky. So I feel like if that fight hits the ground, I know O'Malley, his thing is the striking, but I think that when the fight hits the ground, that'd be exciting. And also, dude, Chito's becoming just vicious. Just with his hands, he's just becoming just nasty. And O'Malley also has an interesting style as well. So I actually think, besides a fun build-up and I think it's a good fight for both, I actually think just from a styles perspective and an action perspective, I think it would look very nice. That would be a very nice looking fight. So yeah. Anyways, so we're 48 minutes in. If you're new to this, I like to go an hour, so we got 12 minutes in. So if you got questions, keep throwing them, and I will answer them in the next 12 minutes. So let's keep the train going. Yeah, I think UFC 247 worse card than UFC 246. Jesus. Maybe they're just equally as bad. Sorry, more headroom. Dude, these cards are getting kind of bad. Again, the UFC 246 card, I kind of like. I mean, not that it's okay. I mean, it is okay. The UFC can do whatever they want, right? My job is just to cover the sport. But I guess it's more difficult from a fan perspective. You guys can complain about it all you want, because you guys actually pay money for your pay-per-views. That's part of my job, so I just go and do my job. But the UFC 246 card, I kind of gave it a little bit of a pass because it had Conor McGregor, in the main event. Now, it sucked that it only lasted 40 seconds, because then you feel like, what the hell? Like, you didn't get that huge excitement, right, of a big fight because it was so quick. But nonetheless, you kind of have to give it a pass because McGregor's in it. Jon Jones is a big name. And I think there could be a little bit of a pass there, but I think that's also dependent on his opponent. Like for UFC 246, it really didn't matter who Conor fought. It was just the fact that, it was Conor McGregor's return. Here, right, if you have, let's say, like, hypothetically speaking, an Adesanya versus Jones or Jones Stipe, then you can afford to, like, have a pretty shitty card. And I'm not trying to shit on Dominick Reyes. I think he's great and he's a very skilled fighter. But, he's just getting to the top, right? He's not a big name. He hasn't been at the top for a long time. And that goes to anyone. I mean, Jon Jones was that person at some point. Adesanya, anyone before getting to the top, anyone's rise. Now, some rises are different than others, right? Like McGregor's, where even within his rise, he was a star, but very few people get to achieve that. So let's see. So, I mean, the co-main event for UFC 246 was Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington. Not the greatest. Let me see UFC 247. I don't even know what the co-main event is. Oh, yeah, of course. The co-main event is another title fight. So you got 2 title fights for UFC 247. I would say UFC 247, then it's a better card than UFC 246. Just because importance-wise, there's 2 title shots. There was 2 title fights. There wasn't even a title fight at UFC 246. It was just McGregor's return. But I'm going to read out the 2 cards, and you guys decide. Throw it out in the chat, and I'll read the results. Just reply UFC 246 or UFC 247. So, anyways, this is UFC 246. McGregor Cerrone. Co-main event, Holm versus Pennington. Then Alexei Oleinik versus Maurice Green. Brian Kelleher versus Ode Osborne. Carlos Diego Ferreira versus Anthony Pettis. That is UFC 246. UFC 247, main event. Jon Jones versus Dominick Reyes. Co-main event. That's the title fight. Valentina Shevchenko versus Katlyn Chookagian. Title fight. Then you got Juan Adams versus Justin Tafa. Then you got Miss Mirsad Bektic versus Dan Ige. Heavyweight. Derek Lewis versus Ilir Latifi. I go with UFC 247. What do you guys think? Yeah, UFC 247. Yep, Nasty Paul. Immigrant Mentality. Stiopic. Yeah, UFC 247 is just a better card. Yeah. And look, there's some fights there that promise some action. Like, believe it or not, I actually think the Shevchenko-Katlyn Chookagian fight is interesting. It could be boring, but I think interesting as far as like the type of challenges that Chookagian can offer to Shevchenko. Chookagian always goes to a decision. She never takes serious damage. She's really good at avoiding damage. So I'm curious to see how that fight looks. It could be a very boring affair with Valentina Shevchenko getting her hand raised in the end. But nonetheless, I think the champ is going to get a certain look that we haven't seen before. And that's always interesting to see how she's going to react, right? Because that can give us information for future matchups, future opponents, etc. So very always interested when there's a new challenger that poses new threats to the champion, even if it's still a mismatch, even if it's still on paper maybe not an exciting fight. That's always interesting information, right? Yeah, but look, Lauren Murphy versus Andrea Lee, that's a good fight as well. Big fight also at 125 for women's flyweight right there. Yeah, I mean, it's not a great card, but it's not the worst. All right. Let's see what else. We got 10 minutes, 7 minutes. How many fights should Colby win before a rematch? So you guys saw he was on Ariel's show, and he was talking about, I was actually just watching that this morning. He was talking about how he wants an immediate rematch. I don't know how I feel about that. I thought Colby was winning. If you go back on my Twitter, and I was scoring round by round, I thought he was winning the fight. I think I had him 3-1. But again, a couple of those rounds were close. I think it could have been a 2-2. But I definitely think it was either a tie for him going into the 5th with Usman, or he was winning. That's how I saw it. And then I do thought the stoppage wasn't the greatest. I mean, don't get me wrong, Usman did work him 100%. But he looked okay. Like, he looked hurt, but he looked okay hurt. You know, I mean, we've seen much worse beatings. We've seen much worse fighters fight out of worse positions. There was also the factor that, you know, he recently confirmed that he didn't have a broken jaw. I don't know how true that is, but maybe someone should look into that and talk to a doctor, see if you can actually get your jaw wired shut and then heal in just when they fight in December, like in just like a month and a half. I don't know, but he looked good in that interview. He talked fine. He looked okay. So I don't know if he did or didn't break his jaw. Maybe it could have been like a small fracture or something. I don't know. But at the time, that's the information that we had, and I believe the ref knew that as well. Maybe, possibly. I mean, he said it between his corners. I don't know if the ref caught that. So stopping the fight with that in mind, you know, it's not the worst call. So an immediate rematch. There's also so many contenders out there, new matchups and fresh faces that Usman has. So no, I don't want an immediate rematch. I think Masvidal should be next, and that's the fight that they're working towards. So that's the fight to make. And I think Colby, look, Michael Chiesa called out Colby. That's a hell of a fight. That's a great fight. He's on a 3-4 fight win streak. Michael Chiesa at 170, 100%. Do it. And yeah. Also, Tyron Woodley's fighting Leon Edwards, right, at UFC London. If Woodley gets past Leon Edwards, he probably deserves a title shot then. But also wouldn't mind seeing a fight with Colby as well. That'd be fun. Plus they got beef. So yeah, Colby should probably, you know, it depends who he beats, but I think he'd probably be, again, he still talks shit, and the fight ended in a fairly controversial manner to some people. So I think he's not many wins away from a rematch. Maybe 2, probably 1, depending on how he wins and who he beats. But if he does face Michael Chiesa, he'd probably be 2. I don't know if whenever Chiesa gets you a title shot, but and also with the names that are at 170, but probably 2 wins, 2-3 wins, I would say. Amy Wee, thank you for joining. Amy Wee, will you be in the SI suit? I don't work for MMA fighting anymore. Some people, I guess, I don't know. I posted it on my Twitter and stuff like that, and I've been doing a lot of work for MMA Junkies, so I feel like I've been a little bit out there, you know. I haven't been like working from the backstage or anything like that, you know, type of thing. So yeah, I don't know if, you know, probably not. But you know, Pizzi and Jose, you know, they're good guys and they do great work. So check that out. They do good stuff. All right. Will the Black Beast win this weekend against Ilir Latifi? Probably, yeah. Do you still talk to Luke? I really miss you guys talking fights. Yeah. We were just talking about Bad Bunny, like last night or some shit like that. Because he obviously performed at the Super Bowl, and surprisingly, like, people didn't know who he was. A lot of people didn't, and I'm like, he posted like a meme or something, and then I replied, and we kind of went back and forth. But yeah, Luke is a good friend of mine. I'm super happy to see him, you know, do the work that he's doing. He seems, you know, very happy, and he's killing it. Like he's doing amazing work, and I'm a big fan of his YouTube channel. I mean, he's a big inspiration as to, you know, what I'm doing with this, you know. I think he's one of the best people that does YouTube in the MMA space. There's other great people too as well. And I always admired that he's very you know, he's very honest with his assessment, and he's always consistent with it, you know. And you know, it's, again, like I've said before, talking about like working in MMA media, this is a small industry, and you know, sometimes you piss people off, and that can bite you in the ass. But you know, that doesn't hold Luke back from talking truth and his truth, and you know, analyzing a situation with all honesty, and giving his honest thoughts on a specific situation. So yeah, we're still cool. We're friends, and yeah, maybe I'll have him on this channel if he's down, and we can talk some fights. That'd be cool. That'd be tight. Yeah. Anyways, user underscore asks, oh, that's not a question. I don't know what he was asking about that. They both have beef on that. Scott Kelly, Mike's fighting soon, was an Ariel saying yesterday. Okay, I didn't know that. Immigrant mentality. Danny, love the beard. What are your thoughts on Yoel Dinero versus Israel? The fuck? Israel Adesanya. Yeah, it's a good fight. I talked about it like just a little bit ago. You can go back on the chat. That's an amazing fight. I'm excited for it. Yeah, it's a tough fight for Yoel Romero. I'll say that again. Everybody's talking about how tough of a fight this is for Israel Adesanya, but it's a tough fight for Yoel Romero. And Yoel Romero is a tough man, and he takes tough challenges, and that's why he's in that position. He literally, legit, people that are complaining about Romero getting this shot or Yoel Dinero, like he literally got, yes, the math doesn't make sense. What, he's 1-3 in his last 4 fights. He missed weight, I believe, twice out of those wins, right? The math is, the facts are not lining up for him, you know, to back up a case of him fighting for the title. But legit, that man just got the title shot out of being tough. Why? Because he's the toughest challengers out there. He's the toughest challenger out there. He's the guy that takes the toughest fights at all time. People always talk about like, oh, you know, this is a tough fight for so-and-so. Romero's a tough fight for so-and-so. But if you flip it the other way, Romero only fights tough dudes. I mean, I'll read you his resume right now. And at like what, like 42 years old? Jesus Christ. That dude, if he really wanted it, he could be taking on not cans, but, you know, lower tier middleweights because he's suffered losses, right? So it's a perfect excuse to, no, give me someone down the ladder and just build this highlight reel and look like a monster. But instead, he's fighting the toughest guys at all times. I'm going to read you his last whatever fights. His last fight was against Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa is one of the scariest strikers at 185. Prior to that, he fought Robert Whittaker, one of the most skilled guys at 185. Not so long ago was the champion. Before that, he fought Luke Rockhold. And I know Luke Rockhold might have a different image now, given his last few performances. But at the time, that was for the UFC interim middleweight title. Like Luke Rockhold was doing well. Fought Luke Rockhold. Then before that, fought Robert Whittaker. Then before that, fought Chris Weidman. And that was a 2016 Chris Weidman, right? Then before that, fought Jacare, 2015 Jacare, holy shit. Then before that, Lyoto Machida, again, 2015 Machida. Machida's still kicking ass in 2020. And then from there, his resume starts getting, you know, again, he was on the way up. Then, you know, Tim Kennedy, Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson. But in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights, he fought Lyoto Machida, Jacare, Chris Weidman, Robert Whittaker, Luke Rockhold, Robert Whittaker again, Paulo Costa, and now he's fighting Israel Adesanya. If you were just to read me those names on you know, in order, that right there sounds like a title defense. That sounds like a title run. That dude's been fighting the toughest guys for like 5-6 years, and you got to respect that. And that's why he got the shot. And I'm always going to respect that. Someone that takes always doesn't take a step back. That dude does not take a step back. No tune-up fight. Always moving forward. And yeah, that's why people like him so much. All right, I think I've hit an hour here. Yep. So I know there's other questions on the chat. Let me just real quickly just make sure, you know, maybe I don't miss anything I wanted to talk about. But I think we got a pretty good coverage of what's going on in MMA, you know, in the last few weeks. I think I talked about everything. Let's see. Yeah, I think I addressed everything. And there's no questions that maybe that are pointing out that I missed something. No, yeah, I think I addressed everything. All right. So, yeah, we've hit an hour here. So I'm going to call it quits. I appreciate everyone that tuned in live. For those that are watching post, I appreciate you guys as well for the views and the support. I know the beginning of the year was a little rough because, you know, I wasn't doing videos. So I kind of took a little bit of a break there. And obviously it's good to be consistent. I understand that, but I was out on vacations. I hadn't been on vacation in 2 years. Last time I went on vacation was like April, not even, like March 2018. I went to Spain and to Italy. And, you know, I've been working a lot since, so I really needed a break, and I feel good. I feel great, but also, you know, it gave me new batteries to come back and work even harder. And, you know, not only for MMA Junkie where I work, but also, you know, do some stuff on this YouTube channel. And so yeah, I apologize for the little layoff there, but from now on I will be consistent. And obviously, as I said before, I didn't do it on Sunday because it was Super Bowl. So I figured you guys, you know, I was watching the Super Bowl as well. I didn't want to do that, so I'm doing it today. But anyways, moving forward, most likely I'll stick to the Sunday day. I like that. But if I have to work or whatever, I'll move things around and I'll post on Twitter, etc., and social media as to where I'm going to do these. So just stay tuned and just know that moving forward, this will be again a weekly thing, and know that I am actively working to upgrade this thing and make some changes to this experience. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. And I appreciate you guys and the support that you guys have been giving me. It's awesome. It's sick. Again, I couldn't be doing this without you guys, because you guys are the ones that provide the questions and the content. So subscribe, give it a like, tell your friends about it, set the notifications on for whenever I go live. And that's all I got. And stick around, MMAJunkie.com. We are there on site for UFC 247. And yeah, providing all kinds of coverage. So make sure you tune into that. All right, that's it. That's all I got. Later.